In front of me are 127 USB devices, the theoretical limit that is supported by a standard PC. But USB has a dark secret. As it turns out, the real world limit is actually much, much lower. And the only way to find out what it is for sure is to just start plugging devices in, which, oh, well, I mean, I guess we could just read the white paper on the architecture of the spec, but that would be far less interesting for the people watching on YouTube. So instead, we're just gonna start plugging things in and see what happens. What do you do once you run out of ports? I mean, hubs, obviously, but can we just keep plugging in hub after hub after hub until we hit it? What is it? And what is the segue to our sponsor? The Ridge. Looking for a stylish and practical wallet? The Ridge wallet has got you covered. Its minimalist design allows you to carry your essential cards and cash without the bulk. So check it out at the link below and use code Linus to save 10% off your purchase and get free shipping. The first factor that limits how many USB devices you can connect to your computer is one you know quite well, and that's the number of ports on the front and back of your PC. But what you might not know is that most computers only have a single USB host controller, and all of those ports are going to share not only that controller, but that controller's bandwidth. So when you have a USB 5 gigabit per second port, it's 5 gigabit per second shared with all the other ports on the controller. Now, fortunately, hitting a bandwidth limit is pretty uncommon. Most peripherals, like mice or keyboards, use a negligible amount of bandwidth. However, you can run into odd behavior if you have, say for example, a video capture device or a webcam. This was really common with early generation VR headsets, where the VR tracker sucked up so much bandwidth that users needed to install a second controller on an add-in card. Of course, our question today isn't how much bandwidth can we push through one of these controllers, it's how many devices can we connect to one? So let's move beyond the limits of our mere mortal rear I/O ports. I summon the hub! I haven't even plugged the hub in yet, and I think we're already getting kind of weird behavior. None of these. Whoa! This mouse is crazy hot. Wait, heatedmouse.com. Oh, it's a feature. Jeez. All right. Simple unpowered hub. Now a mouse. Hey, there it is, Logitech gaming mouse. Now another drive. But this is interesting. Every hub is actually 2 hubs. See that? We've got a USB 2 hub and a USB 3 hub. And depending on what kind of devices we plug in, they'll show up under either. Hubs like this one are an integral part of the various USB specifications. They handle all the communication between devices that are plugged into them and the host systems that they're plugged into, as well as handling bandwidth sharing. The hub will tell the system, hey, I'm a hub, and the system adds that hub's address to the path of any devices that are plugged in down the chain. When multiple hubs are used, multiple addresses are added to the path. So if hub A, for example, is plugged into port 4 of the host, hub B is plugged into port 2 of hub A, and then a mouse is plugged into port 1 of hub B, the address might read something like 0421, where 0 is the address of the controller's root hub. Powered or unpowered, it doesn't change the addressing system. However, according to the USB spec, a hub that is powered entirely by the port that it's plugged into, like this one, cannot allow this sort of daisy chaining. According to the spec, anyway. As we are about to see, however, that is not the case here, right? Look at this. But why though? Because unpowered hubs are liars sometimes. Actually, not just sometimes, most of the time. And if that shocks you, well, it shouldn't. Consider their predicament. According to the spec, only low-powered devices, so devices that draw less than 100 milliamps, are supposed to be used on hubs that are powered by the port itself and not by an external power brick. So, if people buy a spec-compliant unpowered hub, they're going to be in for a rude shock when many of their devices, I mean, even mice with too many RGB lights, won't work for some unclear reason. So as a result, manufacturers can either have mostly happy customers and with an out-of-spec product, or they can have USB Implementer Forum certification. Well, average Joe customer doesn't care about USB-IF certification. They might not even know that they exist.
Whose castle is this?
They just want a hub that works with their devices. And it usually will. However, draw too much current and your USB controller will shut down the connection from the source. Hopefully before anything gets damaged. Should we try that? Why don't we plug the heated mouse into this thing? Ha 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 ha. Okay, working now, but what happens when we turn our heat to high? Oh wow, this is still working somehow. I need more power! How about this K95 keyboard? Really? How is this all still working? More brightness. That was max brightness. Let's plug into a USB 2 port. That'll do it. And,
Oh, is the heat on?
Really? Were you expecting this to work?
I mean, no, not really, but
Time for another RGB keyboard! Okay, come on. This'll do. Two full RGB keyboards and a heated mouse? Do we have any bigger unpowered hubs?
no, these are the two unpowered hubs I could find. Most of our stuff seems to just be powered. And it's plugged into a USB 2 port, which means that it's pulling at most 2.5 watts, which is crazy that all of that stuff just works okay.
You know
on
what?
2.5
It's probably
watts.
overdrawing. What I suspect is that this motherboard is just like,
Huh.
I will deliver more than spec.
Unbelievable. I can't believe they just allow more power draw so that things function properly.
This will do it. Heated mouse, RGB keyboard, and Stream Deck. No, it doesn't have the software. I want it to light up full brightness. Oh wait, hold on. USB device not recognized. Last USB device you connected has malfunctioned. Yes, we've overwhelmed it. Wow, what the devil is that? She real unhappy. I suspect if we plug this directly into the back of the PC, it would show up just fine. Elgato Stream Deck XL, there it is, everything working perfectly. But we take it back out of here and we plug it into our unpowered hub, and boom, problem. Yes, success. Okay, it doesn't matter. The point is, there's a solution to that. Powered USB hubs, like this one from Sabrent that does a whopping 16 devices. Now, something funky about these is that they are power mandatory hubs. Some are power optional. Remember that first one that I had over here? It actually has a barrel jack, so it can operate as a powered hub. This one, on the other hand, is like, no can do. Where's my cable? Zip, zilch, nada. But plug in a 90-watt charger. And hey, there we go. This is interesting. We're gonna talk about this later, all the different hubs that are present here. But first, let's see if we can get our Stream Deck and our heated mouse and our RGB keyboard running at the same time. We gotta turn on those ports, of course. No problem. With these, I can greatly expand my USB connectivity. All I have to do is daisy chain my hubs together, which should give me pretty much unlimited hubbery. Except for one small problem. Too many USB hubs. A hub will not function when it's connected more than 5 hubs away from the root port. But this is only 3 hubs. Remember when we noticed that each of these 1 hubs was identifying as 5 hubs in software? Sort of? Okay, USB hub chips can have up to 7 downstream facing ports, or DFPs. Most hub chips have only 4 DFPs. So a manufacturer looking to make a big, tough USB bar that doubles as a self-defense weapon could achieve their desired number of ports by doing what anyone else would, by chaining them together. This particular model from Sabrent has one main chip with 4 DFPs that each branch off into 4 more chips with 4 more DFPs each. That gives us a total of 16 ports, each of which are 2 hubs deep. So if we put 3 of these together, that's 6 hubs in a row. Of course, all of this hub into hub tomfoolery was just an excuse for me to talk about hub depth limitations. The real way to plug in as many devices as we can is to plug each of our hubs into the back of our PC. Now, we're only 2 hubs deep on every one of these ports, meaning we can start loading things up. I could use a couple of extra hands here, boys. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm actually gonna turn these off just so that I can do this. We're not going to be able to use USB thumb drives forever, though. Windows gets kind of fussy about how many drive letters it'll assign, so I'm just going to do 1 hub worth of these.
And we start bringing over mice.
Yeah, why don't we have a mouse hub, a USB thumb drive hub, and a keyboard hub? What do you guys think? Sound good?
Yeah.
We are up to 30 devices now, and I gotta say, good old USB, you know? We kind of take it for granted, you know? You just use it every day and don't think about it, but it is shockingly robust. Are you guys, what are you guys doing with the keyboards over there?
We need to plug some in right now is what we need to do.
All right, hit me with some cables. Cable me.
Plug these 2 in.
Better believe it. We've made it to 48 devices, all of which are showing up correctly, and while there is some weird behavior, I can't click sometimes, for example. Yep, that's, hold on, maybe a different mouse will click. No. How about this? No. Nope, that doesn't work. But what about the Windows key? Oh, Control Shift and Escape. Hello? Oh yeah, but could bring up Task Manager, so that's good. Alt F4. Anything, buddy? Shoot. Okay, let's go. Just 1 keyboard and 1 mouse for a sec here. Why was I able to click on that one thing and not a different thing? This is so weird. Okay, yes, we're back. And come back, all my pretties. Okay, excellent. May I have another hub? There is a point to this. We're on a different screen now, and I'll show you why this is important. Let me just get everything lit back up here first. It's at 114 right now. We're at 172. This is not what I was expecting to happen, but we have a total of 234 endpoints. Tanner?
Yeah.
That's not what we were expecting to happen, is it?
Not at all. I haven't found so much as a data sheet for a USB root hub that can handle more than 128.
It's supposed to fail at 127. Well, 128. It did not.
Apparently the AMD chipset is just very powerful when it comes to the amount of USB it can handle.
More devices! Tanner, what is it
Yes.
supposed to do?
It's supposed to tell you that it's out of resources.
I see. And were you ever actually able to create that condition?
Tons of times.
Cool.
It became something I could do in less than 5 minutes on both my laptop and the system I was testing on.
I see.
Those are both Intel-based systems, and for some reason, AMD just decided to go ham on the amount of USB they can handle, starting with AM4. But back then, it was still limited to 128, and I expected it to be at least somewhere near 128. Still, but no. What are we at right now?
304.
Woo! Let's go. New world record.
Sum of hubs and devices is 101 right now. We are getting dangerously close to the goal we set out at the beginning of the video, and we haven't even pulled out the USBinator yet. I will be very disappointed if I don't need this.
The theoretical limit of XHCI is like 8,000. But how often do we reach theoretical limits for these things? I haven't been able to get anywhere near it without things breaking, and yet here we are with AMD just tanking it.
Surely This final hub will be enough, he said, not really convinced. Oh, this video is completely off the rails now. There were rails, there was a script, there was a plan, weeks of testing, and then we just happened to grab an AMD system. 106. Remember, because there's 5 hubs in here, right? Plus the one thing I replugged back in. Okay, I'm just gonna start finding plugs and plugging them into things. Why, thank you, good sir. Holy 337 endpoints. Wait, oh, we just lost a bunch. We're down to 270 endpoints all of a sudden. The keyboards are dead. Whoa, we are losing devices left and right here. Did we just completely, oh wow, they're coming back. Okay, wow, this is not what you want to see. Well, cool. At any rate, here's screen capture of the normal way that this happens that Tanner will get later. And this is also a thing that can happen when you have too many endpoints. Allow me to explain. It's not a device limit or a power limit or a bandwidth limit. This is an endpoint limit. An endpoint is a data pipe between the host and the device. And a device will typically have multiple endpoints for things like configuration, occasional small low latency data transfer, non-time critical large data transfer, and continuous data flow for things like microphones or cameras. Now remember when I said that, oh, they're all buried now, but these hubs were actually 5 hubs? Well, that was half true. They are 5 USB 3 hubs, and they are also 5 USB 2 hubs for a total of 10 hubs. Each hub uses 2 endpoints for a total of 20. Now technically, XHCI, Extended Host Control Protocol, supports up to 31 endpoints per device, which, assuming a reasonable 127 device limit, like we encountered in our testing, is nearly 4,000 endpoints. That's enough endpoints to fill up a tech sack from ltdstore.com. But you're not going to be able to actually hit that limit with modern hardware because controllers almost always have a limit of 64 to 128 endpoints, typically settling on around 96. Except that this one didn't. It had like over 300 or something. But that doesn't matter because we are still going to get to our goal of plugging in 128 devices with the USBinator. And it should actually behave less flakier than this. Maybe?
Don't make promises you can't keep.
The one with all the USB drives in it is flippin' hot. Like, unhappy. Wow. Ow. You know, it kind of is a good representation of the difference in philosophy between Intel and AMD. Intel has a tendency to just say, this is what we know we can support reasonably well, and just know you actually may not have any more than that. Whereas AMD tends to be kind of more YOLO, like, I don't know, see what happens. We're not gonna put a limit on it. What you are looking at here is an ASUS mining motherboard, not because we're doing any Bitcoin mining or anything like that, but because we want a whole bunch of PCIe by 1 slots plugged into a whole bunch of these little mining daughter boards that, instead of being loaded up with graphics cards, are loaded up with USB controller cards. In total, I believe we have 30 total USB controllers, meaning that we are going to be nowhere near any kind of endpoint limit shenanigans to get to our 127 devices. From the outside, the USBinator is very similar to what we were just doing. We've got these Sabrent 16-port hubs, and we're going to plug them into ports in the back of our computer. But it's these ports that make this system different. StarTech sent over 2 different kinds of USB controller cards. These ones with 7 plugs and these ones with 4. And believe it or not, the ones with 4 plugs are actually better than the ones with 7. And that's because, and if you've been paying close attention, you'll know why this matters, 4 of these ports, namely the top ones, are running off of an integrated hub, meaning that it would be much easier to hit an endpoint limit using these. So for example, if you had a couple more multi-port hubs and then one of these multi-display adapter things, it would work in any of these bottom 3, which are directly connected to the controller, but would cease to work if it was connected to one of the top 4. That is not true of our 4-port cards. Each of these is running off of its own controller, meaning that the theoretical maximum number of endpoints going into just one of these cards would be 508 or something like that, assuming each of these can do 127 endpoints. What that means is that if all goes according to plan, it should be basically impossible for us to reach an endpoint limit on this system. I say we power the thing on.
All right, because the first thing that we need to do is verify which of these cards currently feels like working. It's not the card's fault, it's the risers.
Right, mining stuff, definitely reliable.
Oh, so reliable.
This one has no lights.
Yep.
This one has no lights. That's okay, I can work with that. I regret taking the approach we did last time.
Why?
How many total drives did you say that you could handle?
As many as there are letters in the alphabet, but really the problem is when a whole bunch of them connect at the same time, then Windows tries to give the drive letter to multiple drives at once.
Sick. It is time to painstakingly plug in 127 USB devices. How are we doing here? How are we doing for endpoints, boys?
We're at 56 total peripherals. Endpoints are going to be just based on the controller itself, so we've got multiple controllers. But yeah, we're at 56.
56!
And 122 standard hubs.
Not bad. Let's do more. We are up to 86 peripheral devices. The question is, are they still functioning at all? Let's do my caps lock test. So you should be able to kind of see them going nuts. Okay, what about the Windows key tab? Wow. Okay, with all these controllers, it's actually still kind of working. Can I click on something? Yes. Very nice. More thumb drives!
I'm getting kind of nervous about the lean going on here. Like that is some pizza level almost, and there is a single strip of tape holding these on. It's good tape, but that's 16 ports worth of stress. We're at 100 devices right now.
100 devices, let's go! I have to say, my side, much more organized. I did take the only rack though.
Yeah, we have a mouse infestation.
104. Okay, are any of these not lit up? Oh, that's that heated one. Yeah. Weirds me out, man. Oh, crap. Something is depressed. Uh-oh.
Oh, sorry.
No, not that kind of depressed. Oh, are some of the ports not powered?
Oh, are some of them not powered on this side?
Okay, no, they're definitely all powered. Oh, okay, what are we up to now, Colin? 112. Oh, we're so close. 113, come on. That didn't count. That also didn't count. Oh, we're down to 110. Okay, what about this one? Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, I just saw a keyboard lose power.
I wonder if this is more of a driver level limit, just trying to manage all of these flipping devices. What does our CPU usage look like? Look at my cursor. Now just hold on a gosh darn second here. Oh, okay. It's not exactly a super powerful CPU. It's only a quad core, but we were pulling 60% when I opened this, and it's sitting at 30, 40% now, just doing nothing. While I'm disappointed that we couldn't get to 127 concurrent devices, we learned a lot along the way, and in fact, I have had multiple times in the past when I've run into issues that would have been caused by these kinds of topology limitations that just I didn't understand in the past, and now I will. So the main things to take away here are that if you're using a hub, you're going to want to connect that directly to the root controller, and if you're using an unpowered hub, hey, it might be running out of spec, so make sure you're only plugging in low power devices or get yourself a powered hub. We're down to 99. Guys, I think she can't take it anymore. Just like I can't, I take it, anymore not telling you about our sponsor.
SolidWorks. Listen up, makers, hobbyists, and tinkerers. There's now an affordable way to use SolidWorks and so much more. For 20% off the usual $99 a year or $9.99 a month, you'll get all the digital tools you need to create anything you can imagine with 3D Experience SolidWorks for makers. It's perfect for working on your hobbies, personal projects, or even that thing you've been building in the shack out back that you won't let your family see. But we know. You can use both locally installed and browser-based tools for designing, fabricating, and rendering, all connected to the cloud, and get help when you need it from their dedicated online support. You'll also have access to an active online design community full of fellow makers where you can connect, get tips, become inspired, and share your own work. Please note, 3D Experience SolidWorks for makers is not for commercial use and limited to a maximum of $2,000 USD profit per year. Elevate your maker game on your terms, without compromise and within your means. Click the links below to get started with a special 20% discount.
If you guys enjoyed this video, maybe check out the one where we, connected as many PCIe risers as we could to see what would happen. We actually ended up getting really far.